Alola Pokemon trainers, this is GatorEX, and today I just want to talk about some of the weird sizes in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Before I begin, I just really quickly want to say that the YouTube algorithm now seems to be favoring interactions, so in order to combat the YouTube apocalypse, I will be doing community shoutouts at the end of the month. So just go ahead, leave a like and a comment relevant to the video, and I'll go ahead and see what I can do at the end of the month. Also make sure you enable notifications in order to make sure you don't get unsubscribed from the channel. Let me start this off with one of the smallest Pokemon, Cutie Fly, that's only about 4 inches tall and weighs only about 4 pounds. Of course, Cutie Fly is meant to be a fly, so maybe when it evolves it gets a little better. Well, okay, no it doesn't. Ribbon Bee is only 8 inches and only 1.1 pounds. Now again, these are flies and I get they're supposed to be small, but they're very small. Like, if these were real Pokemon in a real world, you would easily lose one if you caught it. Now how about for something really crazy, a very heavy Pokemon? Mudsdale weighs 2,028 pounds. And Mudsdale isn't even that big of a Pokemon, but it just seems very heavy compared to other Pokemon we've seen in the past. For reference, real-life Clydesdale horses weigh about 2,200 pounds, so Mudsdale is actually a little generous as far as weight goes. But 2,000 pounds is still very high when it comes to the weight spectrum of Pokemon. For example, Celesteela, a Pokemon revealed in this generation, is one of the heaviest Pokemon ever. It weighs in at 2,204 pounds, about the weight of a real-life Clydesdale, but it is a massive steel structure. It is pretty much the heaviest Pokemon in existence, and you can see why, because it's just this giant tower thing. But that is interesting that one of the heaviest Pokemon only weighs about as much as a real-life Clydesdale horse. Next up is Bewear, who comes in at 6 feet 11 inches, which is really tall. Of course, bears are very tall, but it is just weird to think that Bewear, this giant Care Bear, is about the height of your average basketball player. Next up is Mais, who is an astounding 12 feet 10 inches. Now, Mais is a really cool looking Pokemon, and I'm sure a lot of you have already caught it, but the fact that it's actually 12 feet seems like it'd be almost impossible to catch. Originally, I looked at Mais because I thought, oh, it's an anchor, maybe it'll weigh a lot. Well, it only weighs about 463 pounds, which again is a lot, but compared to things like Celesteela and Mudsdale, isn't that much. But its height alone is enough to surprise you. For reference, Komo-o, the huge dragon-type pseudo-legendary of this generation, is only 5 feet 3 inches. Yeah, it's cool that you caught this giant armored dragon that is one of the strongest Pokemon out there, but some rusty old anchor is a lot bigger than it. Also for reference, Solgaleo is only 11 feet 2 inches. Mais beats that by almost 2 feet. Next is Gus Lord. Surprisingly, Gus Lord only weighs 1,957 pounds, which is less than Mudsdale, but it comes in at 18 feet tall. Of course, Gus Lord is extremely fat and you'd expect it to be huge, but I'm actually surprised that it doesn't weigh that much. It's definitely less dense than Mudsdale apparently, but it being, you know, this giant thing that eats a lot of stuff, you'd expect it to be even fatter. Next up is Nebby itself, Cosmog, who is not very big, being only about 8 inches and 0.2 pounds in weight. So that's actually pretty interesting. We get another really light Pokemon to add to the collection. But once Nebby evolves into Cosmoem, the Galaxy Walnut, it becomes the single heaviest Pokemon in existence. Cosmoem is more dense than a black hole, being even smaller than Cosmog at 4 inches, but weighing in at 2,204.4 pounds. And on the metric system, maxes out the scale at 999.9 kilograms. Of course, there is a story reason for it, meant to contain all of this cosmic power in a very small walnut, but that's still absolutely crazy. And on top of that, the fact that Lily actually carried Cosmoem in her backpack for a good majority of the story makes her pretty much the strongest being in all of Pokemon. Forget about Ash carrying Hippopotas on his head, that was nothing. Lily carried 2,000 pounds inside her backpack and brought it all the way up to the top of an altar where it transformed into this legendary Pokemon. It was hard enough to get Cosmog in the bag, but just imagine carrying Cosmoem. So that's been it for the weird sizes in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Not so much, but I thought it was worth talking about just for the fact that Cosmoem, the Galaxy Walnut, is now the heaviest Pokemon in existence. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. How surprised are you at some of these sizes? Are there any other other Pokemon sizes that you think I should have mentioned, just go ahead and leave a comment down below, anything, because that's going to help us combat the YouTube apocalypse. And again, like I said, at the end of the month, I'm going to try and do something like community shoutouts, so you leaving your comment down below is going to, I don't know, I'm just going to go ahead and sort through all those comments and pick some people to shout out, I guess. This is also going to go for any of the other videos that have been posted in the past week, so that includes my top 8 NPCs, my discussion about Lucamine and Nihiligo, and then the Pokemon that you can eat. Anyway, if you enjoyed the content, remember to subscribe and enable notifications to make sure you see each new video as it's posted. This has been GatorEX. Have a nice day.